Good evening. Senator, Assemblywoman, all of our guests up here on the panel tonight, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I have, in the interest of time and the fact that we have so many other speakers, I have decided to somewhat condense the comments that I was prepared to make tonight, but I would like to submit the full text after I get done speaking. We have a restaurant up the road here. It's called Crossroads. And I think in a lot of ways that kind of symbolizes for me where the town of Lansing is right now. If I could have confidence that the kind of future that Assemblywoman Lifton described in terms of asking the PSC to essentially go back to the drawing board and come up with a totally different plan that would include a biomass or solar or whatever. I think there are many people in the community, including myself, who would support something like that. I suspect that just about everyone can say with pretty good certainty that the future is dependent on our increased movement toward the use of renewables. But that future is not here yet. And I think for the near future, we are going to have to continue to have some kind of a mix of both fossil fuels and renewables. And I did not hear among the people that spoke to us from the panel during the educational part of this tonight that there was an option offered to go back to the drawing table and come back with a different proposition that would include only the use of renewables for this plant in Lansing. As far as the fossil fuels, and particularly natural gas, I understand the problems with methane. I too have read a lot of those same documents. What I did find out as I was getting ready to prepare for tonight is that over 30%, close to 31% of the power, the electrical energy that is consumed in this part of New York State, at least as of 2011, which is the last year for which I could find figures, comes from natural gas. That's in our homes. Every time you turn on an electric switch, unless you are totally off the grid, every time you use electricity in your house, over 30% of that comes from natural gas. The second highest fuel source that's consumed in our part of New York State comes from, nuclear. That's the second highest one. And I don't think that's one that any of us would like to see to continue to use indefinitely into the future. The thing is that that percentage, that almost 31%, is going to stay the same whether or not this plant is converted to natural gas, because we get our power from the grid. The power that's made by the Cayuga plant goes into the grid, and the power that comes to us here in Lansing comes from the grid and to all of Tompkins County. So yes, we can be concerned about the use of natural gas, and yes, we can say we would like to go toward renewables, but for the near future, it's not going to make any difference. This is really not a question of fracking, and it's really not a time to talk about whether or not natural gas is the fuel of the future. We all know that it's not. The question is, how do we get from here to there? And I would say that at this point in time, that there needs to be continued use of a mix of fuels. And there is a population of Lansing. We're going to switch tracks here just a little bit now. Senator Nozzolio spoke very eloquently about some of the other groups in Lansing and how they're going to be impacted by this. I want to mention our farming community. We have a large farming community in North Lansing. We have some of the best farmland in North Lansing of any place in the county. We all know that family farms in recent years have come under pressure to try and stay in business. And because of that fact, there have been a number of places in Tompkins County where family farmers have had to sell off part of their land to developers. That's caused the price of farmland to jump. And what that means in a recent reassessment is that the cost of the value of the farmland has jumped considerably. The taxes for our farmers in North Lansing skyrocketed this last year because of reevaluation. I can't imagine as a school district or a town board or as a county going back to the taxpayers of Lansing and saying, you have to make up the difference for what we would lose if this power plant closes. And yes, we can talk about alternatives that might help to fill in some of the gaps. That sounds to me as if, yes, maybe someplace down the road we might possibly get some money from someplace. I'm talking about 15 teachers lost in the Lansing School District by September. Once those programs disappear, the sports, the music, the art, all of those things that are not the core subjects, you don't get them back just because someplace down the road you get some money to help make up the difference. It just doesn't happen that way. We have an excellent school district here in Lansing. We're all proud of it. People move here because they want their kids to go to school here. That will go away if this plant closes. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Martha Robertson, Chair of Tompkins County Legislature.
So I'm a little taller than Pat. Wait a minute. There we go.